Good evening, my terrifying prisoner. I hope you don't mind my absence during the long days. You know, I do prefer to sleep in the day. I went for a little walk this evening before I came to see you. The moon is beautiful. It's almost full again. You've been here for nearly a month. I must say I do not get tired of tasting your company. In a few days' time, our good mutual friend, the werewolf, will be back. Just to allay your fears, he didn't kill anyone last month. I did tell him he'd attacked you, though. He was sorry about that until I told him about my sister, who you slaughtered 10 weeks ago. Anyway. Do you ever speak? You are allowed to talk to me if you want to. Just tell me anything, something. Tell me something about yourself. Okay. That wasn't really that difficult, was it? You see, we can get along. Unless you want to live a truly mind-numbingly boring existence. If I were you, I'd just try to get on with me. I'm not sure I can forgive you for killing my sister, but potentially I could look past it. I think she'd want me to try anyway. Yes, well, let's not think about her for now. That hurts too much. Let's think about you, just for the moment. Let's think about your fate. You're an interesting person. You've tried to escape a number of times. Don't look so shocked. I'm fully aware of what you're doing. If you really think that I won't notice if you do it in the daytime, you're wrong. I'm a very, very light sleeper. You, on the other hand, are not. But I do find it interesting. I find it very interesting that you started to sleep during the day. Perhaps you couldn't sleep at night because you were worried about what I would do. I already told you, I'm not a killer. I've never killed anyone. Unlike someone not a million miles from here. I always believed that bad people can change. My father has always said that I'm painfully optimistic, which I think means he doesn't like it very much. I always try to see the best in people. I find if you're looking for monsters, you're very much likely to find them. But perhaps those monsters weren't there until you were looking for them. Perhaps you're not the monster I thought you were. Perhaps you have genuine reasons for hunting the so-called monsters you slaughter. I don't know. I know you're anxious about, well, it's about time, isn't it? If you hold still, this isn't going to hurt very much. I told you, The more you move, the more it hurts. Most people don't even know I've done it. So do me a favor, darling. Just hold still this time. You can get used to this, and I'm not taking very much. Thank you. I haven't ventured out much since you came. Oh, we really don't need much to survive. Just enough to get by, you know? As my mother always said, you can have too much of a good thing. But yes. You did better that time. You didn't move at all. Don't you think that felt better than when you were struggling? Well, I guess we can all live and learn, can't we? I know this may sound a little awkward, but I can't really see this situation lasting forever. With me being your captor and you being my prisoner, I don't see it working long term. I'm not cut out for this kind of thing. And I don't like seeing you tied up all the time. I've noticed your wrists are beginning to, well, show quite serious sores from the bindings, and I know that's not comfortable for you. I know it's not. Don't think I've never been a prisoner before. You're not the first hunter I've encountered. When I was a child, I think I was 7 years old, our home was attacked. It was terrifying. I watched a hunter kill 2 of my brothers and 1 of my sisters before he turned his attention to me. I was sure I'd die. I could see my other 2 sisters and 3 brothers and my mother all bound, all waiting. He approached me. He had a silver blade. He scratched my chest with it, enough for blood to come out. It hurt, it seared, it was like it was burning. And then he... Sorry. Memories, huh? They can do things to you still. He approached me again with a stake, and I was sure it was over. I remember crying, shouting for my mother. And then all of a sudden, there was my father. His fangs sinking into the hunter's neck. The man screamed. Don't look at me like that. My father didn't kill him, although I think he would have been perfectly justified, having lost several of his children to that monster. No. He told him he'd give him another chance, a chance to be a better man, My father did something that I thought at the time was unusual, and ever since I've thought it foolish, but he tied the man down, just like he tied us down. And he forced him to drink some of his own blood, my father's blood. The transformation takes a few days, and it's painful. I've seen enough turned to know that it's painful for anyone who isn't born to it. He screamed in agony. My father said that was punishment enough for what he'd done, but I knew my mother didn't agree. Well, it's a terrible thing for a mother, isn't it? To lose her children. It shouldn't happen. Eventually, the transformation was complete, and to seal it, of course, he had to feed. So my father released him so that he could feed. He did, but he killed people, several people, before driving a wooden stake into his own heart. It was a chance that he didn't want to seize. I can understand why, I think. He'd become the thing he hated. He had become the thing he had mercilessly hunted, and he couldn't bear it. I remember the look in his eyes when he realized what had happened to him, what he'd become. And I vowed in that moment that I would never turn anyone who didn't want to be turned. And ironically, since that day, so long ago, I haven't turned anybody. My sister Rebecca, she did. She turned the man that she loved. Because she loved him. They were very happy. But as it was, you killed him too. Now, I can't pretend he never killed anyone, but for those recently turned, it's very, very difficult not to. It's as if they're reborn, and they're reborn starving. It's not good. But anyway, my mind has wandered somewhat. My point is, I know what it's like to be tied up, helpless, and I don't want to leave you like that permanently. But I also need to think about my own safety and the safety of our mutual werewolf friend when he returns. I can't have you going out there and killing someone who's trying so hard not to be a monster. Anyway, I wondered if we could get to the point where we're not so much enemies as it would seem we are now, but perhaps there's a way we could, I don't know, become friends. How would you feel about that idea? Would you be open to the possibility of a friendship with me? Well, I see. In that case, really, only time can tell where this will go. I do hope that it will develop into something less hostile, in the very least. And I know that I said turning you wasn't something I'd do lightly. I didn't say I wouldn't. Perhaps, as time goes on, we could develop something more than friendship. But that is just me thinking out loud. Rest assured, I'm not going to do anything to you without your consent. I promise. Well, yes, apart from feeding from you, but really, darling, that is inconsequential, don't you think? I'm not taking enough to make you ill. I'm certainly not going to kill you. You should know that by now. I'll even keep you away from Stanley in his savage wolven state when he next comes by. He did say if he was still here, he'd like to meet you. Not as the wolf, of course. Probably after. He tends to be a little tetchy beforehand. Easily aggravated. Can't say I blame him, of course. But, yes, anyway. If you're open to that, he'd like to talk to you. I think he'd like to justify himself somehow. But we shall see. Anyway, I'm going to go for a walk again in the moonlight. And perhaps one day we'll both feel comfortable enough to take a stroll together out in the woods. The peace and quiet of the moonlit night. We can gaze up at the stars and probably laugh about this situation. Good night, my friend. I'll see you a little later. Good night.